Hi, I'm Chantelle with 141 Design Company, and in this episode we're going to fully finish Country Santa from Teresa Kogut on this piece of whitewash barnwood. Our barnwood piece measures, and these are available in our Etsy shop now, it measures 7.5 wide by 10. We're going to mount him this way on the board. I've stitched Country Santa on 25 count Lugana. It's the color bone, I believe, and it has this nice little vintage pink hue to it. I really liked it paired with this whitewashed barnwood piece. To mount the piece, we're only going to be using the press-on board. We're going to keep this very classic and nice and neat. So we're going to use one layer of press-on board along with some batting, the glue gun, and a few other tricks. But first, let's get our Santa trimmed down. For trimming off the edge, I like to work with about a 1.5 inch border. So I'm going to use my rotary cutter and my ruler to come along here, and I'll just line the 1.5 inch line up with the last stitch on here, giving me that extra. Got just a craft blade in my rotary cutter, which allows me to be able to cut paper and things like that. We'll get him all trimmed up. By trimming off all of the excess, I won't have so much bulk behind the board when I adhere him to the barnwood piece. We're going to line this up down here at the edge, and that will give us a straight-ish. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but we're doing it anyway, so might as well do our best. It is for us, by the way. So we'll do our best as we finish. We've got him all trimmed up. Now, well, let's get our press-on board prepped. I like to use the press-on board that has the self-stick. So we'll peel that back and reveal the sticky side. We're going to add a little bit of batting to it to make him nice and puffy. This is just a quilting batting. Stick that on there. And trim off the excess. If we weren't using the batting, we'd have a nice sticky surface for laying down our piece, our stitch piece, which would help us with mounting it. But since we're using the batting, now we no longer have the stickiness. So what I do to address that is I use a little bit of basting adhesive. I'll take my board, or my little box, my box, and put the board inside so that we don't have sticky all over our workspace. And we're going to give our batting just a couple quick spritz. Give us back our sticky. And now we can center our Santa onto the board. In order to do this, I like to hold him up to the window so that I have a little backlighting showing through. You can see a little bit here. So I'm going to do that now so I can get him centered on my board. This does not have a border around it, so it is a little more forgiving. We still like to have equal space on the top and the bottom and from edge to edge. We've got a closer border on this one. So you can see how we're a little bit tight right here. So we're going to shift it over just a little. So bear with me as I get him adjusted. And it's just a matter of stepping back and looking, adjusting him onto your board. We do want a nice tight fit as it goes around. So we do want him to fit good. And we want to look for things like we've got this line here on the bottom. I always look to have maybe equal space here. We don't want him to be going off to the side And again, we're going to do our best. We have time. So that's one thing. Take the time and do the job best you can. And I can give him a little bit of a press to help him stick on that adhesive spray. Obviously working with clean hands. And it's a little tight on this side, but that's just the little sprig. So I think visually we have enough, we have this equal distance here with what we've got over here. So what I'm seeing, I like. So once you have it on there the way you want it, now we're going to flip it over and use glue gun, hot glue, to put it down. We're going to glue our corners in first and then pull the edges down. Just a little bit of glue. And I keep my glue gun on this vintage snack set tray that I used E6000 to glue the cup down. Let me show you. I used E6000 to glue the cup in place, and that's where I keep my glue sticks, and my gun just rests on there. I let it be messy. I don't worry about it. Every now and then I might scrape the glue that collects off on it. It just gives my gun a place to rest. Little bits. A little bit here. Pressing down, bringing in all four corners. Now we're going to bring in opposite sides and glue those down. Let's start with the top. I'm going to run a line of glue here and a little bit more. And I like to turn mine over so I can see what's happening from the front. And make sure that I have it lined up the way I want. We can even set it on here and make sure we've got them. That's looking pretty good. Now let's do the bottom. Bring it around and make sure we've got that nice and snug and lined up evenly. The edges are, our corners are even looking good at this point. One line of glue on that side, and we're doing the same thing. Bringing it around and tucking it on the back. I like to look here, and I've got that pretty good. We might be one line off, but we're going to go with that. There we go. Now remember, finishing is not a race, so you have time. Take your time. Get it the way you want it. Make sure you've got all your corners lined up just right. You've worked hard on your stitch, so let's give the proper attention to finishing it as well. Now to get the corners nice and crisp, we don't have, it's pretty good now. You can see that by mitering, putting it in this direction first, then bringing it in, gets us very close. You can do this by a couple different directions. There are also some sticky tape that you could put in on these things, but I'm comfortable with the glue, so I use that. I will be using glue to close these in and miter them tight, just like that, to give us a nice point. You could also use needle and thread and stitch this together and get a nice crisp point on the other edge. Because with this one, we're not using any other backer. We're going to put this directly onto the board. So it'll be nice to have our corners sharp. I'm going to use glue to do this with. And the way I do it is I'll open that corner up and just come in here with my glue gun a little bit of glue right on the inside, and then fold those mitered corners in and hold them in place. We're going to overlap this on top of each other. This is the part we're going to focus on. Let the glue set up. Give it a good pinch and a press. And we've got a nice pointy corner. It does take a little practice. So if you're a little nervous about doing this portion, grab some scrap fabric and some scrap press-on board and practice. Give yourself some grace and allow yourself some practice time so that you're not doing it for the first time on the cross stitch that you've spent hours stitching. Like anything else, and just like you're stitching, it's going to come and you're going to nail it each time. I promise. You can see I just tucked the glue underneath each one of them, so my fingers are never actually really touching any glue. If you do end up burning your fingers, it's always a good idea to have a cup of water, a little bit of ice water on hand, so that you can submerge the finger or the spot that has the glue on it into the water and relieve the pain as quick as possible. I usually forget to bring that, so if I end up burning myself, I just suffer through until it goes away. And we push down each corner. And now we've got our Santa fully finished on the mounting board, and you can see we've got that nice puffy look to him because we added the batting. It's all preference. The batting does not need to be done, but I find that I like it. And he's going to look nice and classic and clean, just like this on our mounting board. The only thing I may choose to add is maybe a bead of cording around using this same, pulling out one of these colors. These are classic Colorworks colors. I used Holly Berry on the coat, and I'm forgetting the color on this one, but I could pull either one of those out, or even this gold, and create my own cord with a nice little bow at the top. But for now, we're going to leave him just like this. To mount him and adhere him to the board, we're going to use a combination of some of the hot glue and our Tight Bond, Quick and Thick, to put on the back and then mount him onto the board. Now you can see here, our corners, we've got a little bit of bulk going on here. I can trim those away, but these are going to be raised, and so if we have a stick it down, this happens, and you end up with a smush in the middle, you can always take some additional board and build your center piece up some so that your piece is level when it goes on. Then you won't have that area that smushes down in the center, and it will adhere to your board nice and level, and then allow you to put some cording around the edge. There you have it. Thanks for joining me. These whitewash barnwood boards, they are a limited supply, but they are still available in our shop, and we also have them in brown version as well. The brown does not come with a finish. It will be unfinished. I would add some clear coat to it, or however you like to enhance the color of the wood. The whitewash has been painted for you already. It has been distressed. It has even been wheeled out so that it'll reveal some of that wood grain that is in the board. It also has a nice light wax finish to it, so it's very smooth. Thanks for sharing, and I hope you are having a great time finishing. Happy finishing, everyone.